Today our focus is on 1-6, Chapter 1, Lesson 6, Multiplying and Dividing Integers. We're going to start off with a little trick to help you remember if your answer should be a positive answer or a negative answer based upon what is in the problem as far as the operations are concerned. If you have a problem in which you are multiplying a positive 3 by a positive 6, you are going to get a positive answer because you have two positives, are the same signs being multiplied by one another. Second example, if you're multiplying by a negative 3 and a negative 6, you have a negative sign and you have a negative sign. You're multiplying two negatives. When two negatives are multiplied together, you get a positive. This is very similar to what we talked about with adding and subtracting and having two positives or two pluses and two minuses next to one another in our last lesson. If you have a problem in which the signs are different, so in this case, in number 1, the signs are the same and you had a positive. In number 2, the signs were both negative, so the signs were the same and you had a positive. Our third example, if you have a negative and you're multiplying by a positive, your answer is going to be a negative. And the same can be true if we have a positive multiplied by a negative, which is really the same thing. You're going to have a negative answer. So keep that in mind as you're working through your problems. If the signs are the same, such as in 1 and 2, you're going to get a positive answer. If the signs are different, such as in 3 and 4, you're going to get a negative answer. And then what we're going to do is simply move into some multiplication examples and some division examples. So if you have a problem like 4 times 6, we know our answer is definitely going to be a positive answer. You do not, when you have a positive answer, need to put a plus, but you're assuming that if there's no negative in front of an answer, it is a positive. So 4 times 6, as I'm sure you all are pretty good at by now, is 24. Number 6, if we have 4 and we're multiplying by negative 6, we now have two different signs because technically the 4 is a positive even though it's not shown. And then as you know, the 6 is a negative. When you have a positive and a negative, or two different signs, you know your answer is going to be a negative, and then whatever 4 times 6 is, in this case 24. Pretty basic stuff so far. One thing that I do want to look at is if algebra is thrown at you, for some of these problems. An example may be, and this is not anything that we haven't done so far this year, if you have a problem like 3 times x divided by, let's say, 2, and they tell you 4x equals, let's say, 4, you simply are going to plug in the 3 or the 4 for x and continue with your order of operations, in which, as you know, at this point in the year, you have to show me every single step. So the next step when you have 3 times 4 divided by 2 would be order of operations. And since multiplication or division, you just start with the top one in this case. So you do 3 times 4 first, you get 12 over 2, and 12 over 2 is 6. So you're simply substituting in for the variables. You will have a couple of word problems, so just make sure you read through the word problems, and if they're asking you to write an equation, or if they're asking you to write an expression, and an algebraic expression must include a variable. Be careful on those and make sure you read the problem. And a couple of things when you do word problems. Word problems. When you give an answer to a word problem, make sure you have labels on your answer and make sure your answer makes sense. So labels and, I'm going to say answer, sorry I missed that word, makes sense. Labels and your answer makes sense. And I'm going to throw one more thing out at you too, and this was posted, this should be on your Schoology page. You should have labels, your answer makes sense, and you answered the question when working through word problems. Pay attention to the PowerPoint for 1-6, which is on multiplying and dividing integers. Good luck with your Explain Everything video.